San Diego Global Knowledge University.
Welcome to this analysis class, where we'll tackle the main challenges and strategic approaches that organizations and professionals face in a globalized world. Throughout this section, we'll look at key things like how consumers behave in a changing environment, why it's important to develop skills for different cultures, the complexity of managing services in various markets, and the need to build organizations with a global outlook. We'll also dive into how companies can create value, build effective strategies, and get ready to compete internationally. All this content helps us understand that globalization isn't just about money. It's a complete process that affects education, company culture, and how we make big decisions. The process of globalization, driven by advanced technologies like information storage and processing, telecommunications, and digitalization, has created a new competitive environment. This environment is all about markets being connected and relying on each other. It brings both good things and tough challenges for companies. They have to change to do well in a global market that's always asking for more. Being world-class largely means how well a company can fit in and compete in this international game. To do this, companies need a strong foundation. This means always making their processes better, coming up with good plans to sell their products, and using smart ways to enter regional and international markets. But going global means facing a lot of problems. These problems come from moving away from protected local areas to open, super competitive markets. A lot of the time, companies have always worked in local areas. They had close ties to their local economy, culture, and government. This setup gave them stability with things like trade barriers, being the only seller, or political connections. It was like a protection that made success easier. But when they go into global markets, these conditions disappear. Products that were fine before might not meet international standards for quality, performance, or service. This forces them to rethink both what they offer and how they make things. Also, moving from a local market to a global one means a change in how big they operate. Companies that were leaders in their local area might find they can't make enough, distribute widely, or get enough money. And open markets aren't just a chance to grow. They also mean new competitors show up. These competitors often have more money, more experience, and are better known internationally. Adding to this picture is the growing complexity from outside factors like economic ups and downs, political changes, worker disagreements, or shifts in exchange rates. These can directly impact global operations. So, managing an organization needs a big picture view to see these changes coming and react to them. So, for an organization to become world-class, its whole system needs a big change. First, it's super important to have a system that can adapt and stay balanced, connecting the company's vision and mission with its main goals. This connection should show in how well the company can adjust to the global world, encouraging a culture that's open to change and focused on getting results. Second, we need to look at how things are made and what products or services are offered. Meeting international standards might mean big changes in how things are produced. This includes using new technologies, following environmental rules, and making things better quality. Also, a lot of times, the value isn't just in the product itself, but in the extra services that come with it, like installation, tech support, or making it special for each customer. The information and communication system also becomes super important. Being able to gather, process, and share information helps us make better decisions and makes it easier for different parts of the company to work together. In today's world, where being fast is key, having strong information systems can be the difference between doing well and not. Another important thing is making processes official using international rules, like quality or environmental certifications. Even though these can cost a lot and be tricky, they are a must to compete in worldwide markets and work with big companies. But the most important part of this change is the people. Changes in how we see things, our plans, and how we do things in the company directly affect people. Moving towards a global company needs new skills, a better ability to change, and often, new jobs and power structures. This can cause problems inside the company that need to be handled well. Leaders, in this situation, need to change from being in charge of everything to being more flexible and letting others lead. They need to be able to work in many different places and time zones. Also, it's really important to balance thinking things through with actually doing them. We want to avoid getting stuck because we're thinking too much, and also avoid making quick decisions without a clear plan. Putting global plans into action also runs into resistance within the company. That's why it's better to show results with small test projects. These projects help prove new ideas work and build trust in the company. Real-world proof is usually more convincing than just talking about ideas. When it comes to international marketing, companies face the challenge of figuring out the right plans for different markets. Because markets are now global, companies can't just stay local anymore. They have to compete with international players even in their own country. This can feel scary, especially because of things like how complicated it is to operate, different cultures, or uncertain politics. One key way to handle this challenge is something called localized globalization. This means mixing standard ways of doing things with making changes for local needs. On one hand, it lets you save money by using the same strategies in many places. On the other hand, it understands that you need to change products, prices, how you sell things, and how you talk to people to fit each market. Experience shows that neither being completely standard nor completely changing everything works best. The first one ignores cultural and market differences, while the second one costs a lot and means doing the same work twice. A good mix of both helps you do the best globally. Specifically, products and services with a lot of cultural meaning need more changes to fit different places. Things like food, what people usually buy, or what symbols they like are deeply connected to who people are. This makes it hard to make them all the same everywhere. So, marketing plans need to think about not just money stuff, but also cultural and social things. In today's global world, marketing and product placement plans have a big challenge: how to make things the same everywhere while also changing them for local markets. Even though some products might seem to be used similarly in different countries, the reasons people buy them are often very different. This means that even when tastes seem to be becoming more alike, especially among young people who watch global media, how you present a product still needs to fit the specific cultural ideas of each market. On the other hand, industrial products and those used in factories tend to be easier to make the same everywhere. Their technical and practical nature means cultural things don't affect them as much, allowing for more similar plans worldwide. But even in these cases, cultural differences can affect things like talking about deals, how people communicate, and business relationships. This means you still need to adjust how you manage and sell things. Moving into global markets also means looking at how we think about our product's quality. A lot of times, companies believe their product is really good, but it's only because it's been accepted in a small local area where there isn't much competition. When they face international standards, these ideas about quality might be wrong. This means they have to look at things more clearly and make their product even better. Another important thing is that global competition is going to happen. Even if a company isn't ready to sell internationally right away, global competitors might come into their local market. This makes it even more important to be ready to compete at an international level, no matter how much a company is currently involved in international business. So, changing how an organization works starts with changing how people think. We need to stop thinking only locally and start thinking globally. This means rethinking our plans, how we do things, and how we're set up. This change isn't just about technical stuff, it's also about our culture, because it means changing how people in the organization see their surroundings and what they can do. Leaders are super important in this process. Being able to see chances in international markets and getting the whole organization to work towards that goal is key to doing well. Without a clear plan that everyone understands, efforts to go global often fall apart and lose their direction. Also, resistance to change is something that always happens in any big change. Instead of trying to get rid of it, we need to handle it well. This means getting people involved and making them feel like they belong. Talking, sharing information, and training are super important tools to turn resistance into a push for improvement. When it comes to how things work, going into global markets means we need to check how well our organization can handle things like making products, computer systems, money, and shipping. It's not enough to just have a good product. You need the right setup and ways of doing things to keep operations going all over the world. For money matters, going global gives us new ways to get funds. We can get money from different places and lower the risks that come with money ups and downs. But it also makes pricing harder to manage, because things like shipping costs, how much people can afford, and market conditions make it tough to have one standard price. Lastly, knowing the market and what customers like becomes a really important part of our plan. Understanding different cultures, what people buy, and what customers expect helps us create better things to offer them. We can learn this by talking directly to customers, looking at information, and bringing in local talent who can help us understand the area. When joining global markets, organizations face many big choices about quality, how they're seen, their company culture, and how they enter these markets. One of the first challenges is realizing that reaching top-notch standards means spending a lot on training, technology, buildings, and how things are done. However, at the start, some companies might choose to compete in areas where customers are okay with a different balance between quality and price. This plan can make it easier to get into the market as long as they keep improving to reach higher standards. The way the global market works also shows that customers play a huge part in changing industries. As people get more access to products from all over the world, they start expecting more. This slowly breaks down monopolies and makes local producers have to offer better things. This change, while tricky, naturally leads to markets that are more competitive and focused on quality. One of the biggest challenges here is bringing new products into markets that are used to having only a few choices. Even though the rules and business setup might be a problem, customers usually accept new things faster when they see value in them. This shows how important it is to understand what customers want, as it drives change. For a company to change and compete globally, it also needs to really focus on teaching and building skills. Training managers and employees becomes super important for dealing with the complex international world. But this means getting past internal resistance, especially in places where power and control have been more important than being open to change. So, leaders need to be active, pushing the idea of change and taking the risks that come with it. Defining global strategies also means letting go of one-size-fits-all approaches. It's not a good idea to use the same strategy for all markets. Each country or area has its own special conditions that need to be looked at closely. This means coming up with different strategies that fit the specific features of each place, taking into account things like culture, money, and rules. For companies just starting to go global, it's really important to think long-term. Even though quick chances might pop up, lasting success comes from smart planning, learning from past experiences, and always changing. Going global shouldn't be by accident, but a clear choice backed by a clear plan. When it comes to actually doing things, being part of trade groups or international agreements can offer big advantages like lower costs, getting into new markets, and making production processes better. But these chances need to be thought about carefully, looking at things like where production happens, labor costs, and market conditions. Getting into global markets also means figuring out the right ways to have a local presence. Companies can choose different methods, like using distributors, licenses, strategic partnerships, or joint ventures. Picking the best option depends on things like how much control you want, the money you have, and what the local conditions are like. A really important part of this is choosing local partners. A good partner can help you understand the market, make fewer mistakes, and adapt faster. On the other hand, a bad choice can really hurt the project. So it's super important to carefully check what all the different people involved want and make sure everyone is on the same page so that everyone can benefit. Experience shows that strategies need to change as the world around us changes. As markets grow, relationships become more complicated and need constant tweaking. This means always keeping an eye on what's happening in the market and being ready to change your plan when you need to. Also, because the world is so connected, organizations need to change how they are set up. Letting decisions be made by people closer to the action, making local teams stronger, and getting information right away are super important for reacting quickly. We also need to have training programs to get people ready for new jobs and to make good choices in tricky situations. Changing the way people think and act within an organization is probably one of the biggest challenges. Moving towards a global mindset takes time, consistency, and a lot of talking. Change doesn't happen overnight. It's a process that can take several years and needs a strong commitment from the leaders. Finally, in a world that's changing super fast, being able to adapt is a huge advantage. Companies that can see changes coming, act quickly, and smartly change their plans are the ones that really make it big in the global market. It's not just about how big they are or how much money they have. It's about having a smart plan and being open to change that makes them successful when they go international. In the global world, how people buy things when there's an economic problem, like a crisis, helps us really understand the connection between good quality and what people think it's worth. The proof shows that when people have used really good products that don't cost too much, they tend to stick with them even when times are tough. Instead of buying cheaper, lower quality stuff, they might buy less of the good product, but they still prefer the brands they trust. This means it's really important to offer products that people will keep valuing over time, instead of just trying to sell things based only on low prices. When we talk about getting ready for jobs, globalization means we need to change how we teach. It's not just about learning technical stuff. It's super important to learn how to understand different cultures. One of the biggest problems when working internationally is that people often think about the world only from their own culture's viewpoint, which makes it hard to adjust. So, schools need to add different kinds of learning that include social studies, and also give chances for international experiences. This helps people learn to be sensitive to other cultures, speak different languages, and be open to all kinds of people. In the world of business, services have special challenges when you take them global. Unlike things you can touch, like products, services are hard to measure and make the same everywhere. That's because they really depend on what the customer thinks and different cultural things. This means that how we make sure things are good, check them and make them better, has to change for each place. We need to remember that what makes customers happy can be very different from one country to another. Also, when things go global, it brings up a discussion about making knowledge the same everywhere. While some technical rules and tools should be similar to help people work together around the world, cultural differences are still important. Education and job training need to find a balance between making key skills the same and respecting different cultures. This way, we can avoid losing who we are in the learning process. When it comes to big plans, making things more valuable in global markets doesn't always need a lot of money to start. Many times you can make people think your product is worth more by just changing how it looks, how you get it to people, or how you talk about it. But you have to really understand the people you're trying to reach. Don't just guess what they want. Building organizations for the 21st century also means looking at their structures, and especially their values. More than just changing how things are set up, the main thing is to create company rules that encourage being flexible, open to change, and valuing different ideas. These values help the organization adjust better to fast-moving and complicated situations. When a company goes global, getting its people ready is super important. Moving from a system where everything is controlled from the top to one where decisions are made more freely means that employees need to take on more responsibility and make more choices. This isn't just about learning new skills, it's also about getting better at making good judgments, working on your own, and dealing with things when you're not sure what will happen. Also, when you're making big plans for the whole world, you need to keep looking at important things like how big the market is, how you stack up against others, how much money you can make, and what the rules are. There isn't one perfect way to do things that works everywhere. Each market needs its own special approach. This means you have to be flexible and able to change how you make decisions. For organizations looking to get into international markets, it's super important to take things step by step and have a smart plan. Having certifications or quality standards is a big step, but it's not enough. You need to really check how your product stacks up against others. Find markets where you're more likely to do well at first, and make friends or connections that can help you get started. Having good information is a huge part of this whole process. Unlike before, there are tons of places now to get information that lets you look at markets, find good chances, and worry less about what might happen. Using this information the right way can really speed up how fast you go global. Lastly, going global doesn't just change businesses, it also changes schools and society as a whole. Getting used to this new world needs big, deep changes, not just small tweaks to what we learn or do. It means rethinking our goals, how we're set up, and how we do things to fit what a global world needs. In this world, being able to change, keep learning, and be open to new things are the main reasons for success. The analysis we've done shows that competing in a global world needs more than just good products. It demands a big change in how organizations think, work, and learn. Being able to keep high standards even when things are tough, understanding different cultures, changing services for specific places, and growing talent with a global view are all super important for success. Also, it's clear there are no one-size-fits-all strategies. Instead, you need flexible approaches that fit each market. Information, always learning, and being open to change are key tools to lower uncertainty and grab opportunities. In the end, organizations that can put all these pieces together and turn them into real actions are the ones that will stay competitive in a fast-changing, complicated, and always evolving global environment.
San Diego Global Knowledge University, Education Beyond Boundaries.